You know, Mishima Yukio, that dramatic end, the iconic image. But get this, his pen name, Mishima, right, means three islands. It wasn't some like grand artistic statement at first. It came from a train journey through that area.
Right, just a place name.
Yeah. And Yukio, the snowman, that hit him while looking at snowy Mount Fuji. Isn't that kind of wild? Such a huge figure starting with something so scenic.
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? How even the start of his chosen name kind of hints at the tensions in his work.
How so?
You know, the grounding in the physical world, the place, but then juxtaposed with this almost transcendent natural beauty. Snow on Fuji.
Oh, okay.
It's like the naming itself sort of foreshadowed the complex layers we find in his writing and, well, his life.
Exactly. And you're tuned in to The Deep Dive. Today, we are laser focused on Mishima Yukio. We've got some really rich source material here tracing pretty much everything.
From his family roots, all the way to his massive literary achievements and, yes, some of the more intense chapters, too.
And this is for you, someone who wants to absorb a lot of understanding, efficiently. We're your guides through this fascinating terrain.
Right, our mission, to really distill the key elements of Mishima's journey. Things like the formative influences, those pivotal career moments, and the key decisions that shaped him.
We're aiming for those aha moments, basically, illuminating his life without, overwhelming you.
Exactly. And, importantly, if our source touches on any politically charged stuff, we'll present it objectively.
Yeah, just reporting what's there.
Our focus is just on understanding the information itself, definitely not endorsing any particular view.
Okay, so let's get right to it, starting at the very beginning. Born Hiraoka Kimitake.
Not Mishima Yukio yet.
No, not yet. In Tokyo in 1925. And this future literary giant came from a really interesting family tree.
Talk about pressure.
Right. Generations of bureaucrats on his dad's side. His grandfather was even governor of Karafudo. And his mother's family, Confucian scholars.
Wow, that's quite a mix. Bureaucracy and scholarship.
Talk about a blend of societal expectation and intellectual rigor right from the start.
And what's significant about that bureaucratic line is the expectation, right? Public service, connection to the state structures. But what grabs you immediately is Mishima's almost magnetic pull towards art, a path so different from his family's way.
Yeah, that tension feels key. Duty versus art.
It becomes this powerful undercurrent through his whole life.
And that artistic spark, it ignited early, but in a pretty unique setting. His childhood was, profoundly shaped by his paternal grandmother, Natsu.
Natsu.
An aristocratic figure, apparently incredibly overprotective. Get this, she apparently separated him from his parents shortly after he was born.
Whoa, that's intense, a really intense start.
Right.
And the extent of her influence is striking. Restricting his play, making him use feminine language. That wasn't typical for a boy then.
Not at all.
But you consider her background, service in the imperial household. It paints a picture of a very specific, maybe even kind of stifling early world for him.
Absolutely. And here's where it gets really interesting. This restrictive upbringing also meant early immersion in kabuki.
That highly stylized theater, yeah.
And authors like Tanizaki Junichiro and Izumi Kyoka, they're known for exploring aesthetics, sometimes the darker side of Kiai.
So in a way, while it was limiting, it also cultivated this incredibly unique artistic sensibility. Very young.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? How deeply did that early specific exposure imprint on his later obsession?
With beauty, ritual, even that theatricality in his own life. It wasn't just limits, it was a very particular kind of cultural DNA being formed.
He started showing his own literary side very early. Writing poetry, haiku for the school magazine.
Already writing.
Yeah, devouring world fairy tales, Japanese authors, even Strindberg. But it wasn't all art. He was apparently quite frail physically.
Got bullied for it.
Yeah, got the nickname Ojiwo, meaning pale. There's this story about him confronting a bully about it, though, a little spark of defiance even then.
You know, that early physical vulnerability. That could have been a big motivator later.
Yeah.
Unconscious, maybe?
For the bodybuilding.
Exactly. His intense physical training could be seen partly as this powerful reaction against that childhood frailty and bullying. It's a common thing, right? People overcoming weaknesses often focus intensely right there.
Now, even as a kid, he seemed to have strong nationalistic views. During elementary school, he lived through the February 26th incident.
The big coup attempt in '36, major event.
And he even wrote an essay called Our National Flag, expressing quite fervent patriotic feelings already.
Well, if you think about pre-war Japan, That rising nationalism was a powerful force everywhere.
Sure.
For a young, sensitive kid like Mishima, seeing something that dramatic and channeling it into writing,
Yeah.
it's not totally surprising. It really lays the groundwork for his later politics.
Moving into junior high, he started pulling away from his grandmother's intense control. The bullying, sadly, continued.
That's tough.
But he found a real refuge, it seems, in the literary club, under a guy named Iwata Kuro.
A mentor figure.
Yeah, seems like this is where his literary world really opened up. Early fascination with Wilde, Tanizaki, Radiguet writers exploring aestheticism, unconventional themes.
And he got published young.
Right. First short story at just 13, Sukampo, or Doc.
That's a critical shift then. The bullying persists, but finding the literary club, the mentorship, it gave him a vital outlet, validation, and exploring authors like Wilde and Tanizaki, known for aesthetics, nuanced themes,
Yeah.
that really carved out his unique path.
By the time his grandmother Natsu passed away in 1939, another huge figure enters his life, Shimizu Fumio, his lifelong mentor.
Shimizu, very important.
Shimizu really opened his eyes to classical Japanese literature, a whole new influence. We also see him starting to explore darker themes, destructive stuff in his early poetry.
Even used a pen name for his haiku, Seiho.
Yeah.
That introduction to classical Japanese lit by Shimizu was definitely formative, a rich wellspring of tradition, aesthetics he'd draw on forever.
And this mix, classical and contemporary, East and West. It created this fascinating, sometimes contradictory intellectual world for him.
And his curiosity just exploded in adolescence. The reading list is incredible. Cocteau, Rilke, Thomas Mann, Poe, Baudelaire, Proust, Nietzsche.
Plus a deep dive into Japanese masters like Izumi Kyoka, Akutagawa Ryunosuke.
It's like he was trying to absorb the entire literary world at once.
Yeah, this intense immersion. It wasn't just about knowledge, was it? It was like he was forging his own unique artistic DNA.
Exactly. It wasn't passive consumption. It was active engagement, relentless searching across this huge spectrum of voices. It really laid the foundation for the complex tapestry of ideas in his own writing.
Now, as he's really starting to blossom, his father, Azusa, wasn't exactly thrilled.
The classic story.
There's this image of his father tearing up his manuscripts. Sounds like a real clash, art versus, the dad's pragmatic expectations.
For that disapproval, it's common for artists. The father, with his bureaucrat background, probably saw literature as unstable, maybe frivolous compared to a secure career.
Right.
But that resistance from family, it could have actually fueled Mishima's determination to succeed, to prove his path was valid.
But a huge moment came with his story Hanazakari no Mori, or The Forest in Full Bloom.
Shimizu Fumio loved it, right?
Absolutely thrilled. And it caught the eye of the influential Bunji Bunka literary circle.
Big deal.
Huge. Led to publication and, crucially, the creation of his pen name, Mishima Yukio, partly to shield him from his dad's disapproval.
Makes sense.
But also symbolic. Yuki connecting to the tradition of offering the first new rice to the gods.
That recognition was absolutely crucial. Validation for his talent, setting him firmly on the path, and the pen name itself. That's a conscious step into the public role of writer.
A separation from Hirooka Kimitake.
Exactly. And the symbolism he chose speaks volumes about his deep interest in Japanese tradition, spirituality, even then.
And praise came quickly. The critic Hasuda Zenmei called him the inheritor of Japan's eternal history.
Wow, high praise early on.
Mishima himself was also getting deeply interested in Shinto, Japan's indigenous religion. But then the shadow of war started looming.
His feelings about the Pacific War starting. They were complex, layered, for sure. He had nationalist feelings, yes, but his main focus, at first anyway, was still art, literature.
That tension again, personal goals versus history unfolding.
It becomes an increasingly major theme in his life and work.
Despite the war growing, he excelled academically, especially in German under Robert Schinziger.
Published a poem too, right? Taisho.
Yeah, Imperial Rescript. Reflected the serious mood at the war's start. He also co-founded a literary magazine, Ake, with friends.
So even with the conflict escalating, literature stayed vital for him.
Seems so.
For many intellectuals then, it was a real struggle. Reconciling personal beliefs, art, with the nationalism the war demands.
Just creating a magazine like Ake
suggests the deep need to keep that space for thought, for art, even in turbulent times.
The death of his grandfather, Sadataro, was another big personal loss then. And his interest deepened in Japanese romanticists like Yasuda Yojiro and Hasuda Zenmai's Kokuku Shiso.
Imperial nation thought, roughly.
Right. He even showed early interest in the Shinpurin.
That Meiji-era group wanting a return to traditional imperial authority.
Yeah, seems like it appealed to his early nationalism and maybe his fascination with hereditary failure.
These influences show his growing engagement with nationalist ideology, but it's woven tightly with his aesthetics, his literary interests.
The Shinpurin, with its focus on tradition and its tragic end.
Probably held a certain romantic, even heroic appeal for young Mishima, shaping his ideas of sacrifice, national identity.
There's some fuzziness in our source about whether he tried for the super prestigious first higher school.
But it seems he planned to go straight to the higher division at Gakushuin University, where he was already known.
Right. And he even wrote and directed a play during wartime, Yaget Mitake 2, or Soon, with shields.
Staying at Gakushuin probably felt familiar, comfortable, an environment where his talent was already recognized.
And writing and directing a play during the war just underlines his commitment to art, even then.
Interestingly, key figures like Hasuda Zenmei and Fuji Masaharu were really keen to publish his stuff.
Mention of corresponding with Hayashi Fujima, too, seems his talent was being noticed, nurtured.
That early support from established figures was absolutely crucial. Gave him encouragement, real publishing opportunities. Shows that even in wartime, art still mattered deeply to some people.
His views on the war, though, complex. Critical of American and British culture saw them as inferior somehow.
Yet admired Mussolini, but disliked Hitler.
Yeah, it's a fascinating kind of contradictory mix of politics and aesthetics.
That nuanced view is important for understanding him. His nationalism wasn't simple, monolithic. He drew his own lines based on his unique aesthetic, philosophical ideas, even within wartime alliances.
Then a deep personal loss. His close friend, Higashi Fumihiko, died suddenly.
Tragic, and that ended Ake, their magazine.
Yeah. It said Mishima visited his grave every year for the rest of his life. Shows the depth of that bond.
Definitely.
And around that tough time, he got some simple but maybe profound advice from the writer Hori Tatsuo. Be simple.
Losing a close friend young, it has a lasting impact. Higashi's grave visits show that. Hori's advice, be simple, could mean many things. Clarity in writing, or maybe a reminder of basic human experience beneath complex art.
He was also critical of the forced nationalist rituals during the war.
Saw them as superficial, blasphemous even.
Yeah, not genuine reverence or patriotism in his view.
That reveals a deeper, more personal idea of national identity for him. Beyond just outward shows, he valued genuine feeling over mandated displays.
As the war got tougher, university students were conscripted Gakudo Shutsujin.
A major turning point. He was aware of it.
But his own draft experience was unexpected. Before he was expected to go, his mentor, Hasuda Zenmai, entrusted him with basically safeguarding the future of Japan.
And his specific vision of aesthetic empirism.
Right, that spiritual, aesthetic reverence for the emperor, not just political. Fuji Masaharu even gave him a farewell poem. That's immense pressure for a young guy.
Entrusting him like that really shows the huge expectations his mentors had. They saw him as a successor, a torchbearer for their values in an uncertain future.
When it was his turn for the conscription exam, his father gave him odd advice. Appear weak.
Really? Why?
The idea apparently was if he seemed unfit, he might avoid a more dangerous role.
Wow, that's a poignant insight into family anxieties, survival tactics during war. The father trying to protect his son reflects that widespread fear.
Surprisingly, despite the advice, he passed. Got a second-class rating. His mother was understandably distraught.
And Mishima himself had mixed feelings.
Yeah. He decided not to become an officer candidate. Before his expected enlistment, he visited Ito Shizuo and Fuji Masaharu.
Choosing not to be an officer is interesting. Maybe an aversion to authority in that structure.
Yeah.
Or prioritizing his writing, even facing combat.
He graduated top of his class from Gakushuin High School. Amazing achievement. Got a silver watch from Emperor Showa himself.
Symbolic.
Ironically, also got German books with swastikas from the German ambassador. Then, at his father's urging, enrolled in law at Tokyo Imperial University.
Aw, after all that literature focus.
Seems so. But he later said he appreciated the logic learned there, found it useful for writing, surprisingly.
That juxtaposition honors nationalist symbols, then pursuing law's rigorous logic shows the multifaceted experiences shaping him then.
Knowing he might be deployed, he rushed to publish his first short story collection, Hanazakari no Mori. Saw it as a memento of this world.
Poignant.
And his father, who disapproved before, even hosted a publication party. A big shift.
That's huge. The father hosting the party suggests recognition, maybe reconciliation, facing wartime dangers. The collection as a memento really underscores that awareness of mortality.
The collection did well with students in literary circles, but the war took its toll. Bungei Bunka, the magazine he was involved with, had to shut down.
The end of Bungei Bunka is a stark reminder of the war's disruption, impacting everything, including culture. Despite his personal success then, the broader literary scene was changing irrevocably.
He was eventually mobilized, worked at the Nakajima aircraft factory, war effort stuff.
But still writing.
Yeah, focused on his novel Chusai, Medieval Times. Then, on his birthday, unexpectedly got home, enjoyed his mother's pancakes, a small moment he later put in the Sea of Fertility.
Those small personal moments against the backdrop of war become incredibly poignant. The detail of pancakes highlights the importance of family, simple comforts offering respite from the anxiety.
Not long after, he got his conscription notice, wrote a will, faced the real possibility of deployment. He left the aircraft factory shortly before it was bombed.
Wow, a twist of fate.
That near miss must have had a profound impact.
Definitely. A stark reminder of war's dangers, the role of chance in survival, likely added to his complex relationship with life and death.
He left with his father for the barracks, ready to go, but fell ill with bronchitis. During the enlistment exam, got wrongly diagnosed with lung infiltration, maybe TB, sent straight home. Tragically, his assigned unit later went to the Philippines.
And suffered devastating losses. That false diagnosis, the return home, a massive turning point. The fate of his unit versus his reprieve must have led to intense introspection. Survivor's guilt, maybe?
Yeah.
A feeling he was spared for a purpose.
He admitted feeling ambivalent about avoiding death, developed this profound, lifelong awareness of mortality, called his post-war life the remainder of my life.
Heavy.
He even seriously mentioned wanting to join the kamikaze corps. Fleetingly, perhaps. It sounds like he was grappling with huge questions: duty, sacrifice, meaning of life and death.
That yearning, even briefly for the kamikaze, despite trying to seem weak earlier, reveals deep internal conflict, speaks to the pull of patriotic ideals, the perceived honor of a meaningful death in that context.
Ultimately, he resolved to contribute to Japanese culture after the war. Submitted 2 stories to Bunjei magazine.
Circus and Esukai no Kari.
Right, the latter got accepted. He also dedicated his earlier collection, Hanazakari no Mori, to Kawabata Yasunari.
Ah, Kawabata.
Yeah.
That connection starts here.
A figure who became incredibly important soon.
That conscious decision to focus on cultural contribution post-war shows a shift after his near-death experiences. Dedicating work to Kawabata marks the very start of that vital, formative relationship.
He experienced the horrific Tokyo air raids firsthand, witnessed the destruction.
Unimaginable.
Worked at the Koza Naval Arsenal, too. Amidst the chaos, he just immersed himself in classical Japanese literature and writers like Yeats, seeking solace, meaning.
That stark contrast, brutal reality of raids versus deep engagement with literature, highlights art's crucial role. Escape, maybe, but also a way to process trauma, loss. Exploring diverse traditions suggests that basic human need to find universal truths, beauty, even facing destruction.
Amidst the war's end, there were personal moments too. His first kiss with his girlfriend then, Mitani Kuniko. And he started writing Misaki Night no Monogatari, Story at the Cape, knowing it might be his last work.
That intimacy of a first kiss, next to the awareness his writing might be his last, poignantly underscores life's fragility then. The heightened significance of simple connections, the drive for expression.
His reaction to the atomic bombs, the Soviet entry, profound nihilistic despair, apparently.
How did that manifest?
In an almost defiant act, he walked around in a white shirt to make himself a more visible target from the air. He got home ill on August 10th, just days before the end.
That act, wearing the white shirt, speaks to deep disillusionment, maybe even a subconscious death wish facing such destruction. His return home ill shows the profound physical and emotional toll.
And then, August 15th, 1945, the Emperor's surrender broadcast. His father's comment was quite striking. Now the world belongs to artists, so you should probably become a novelist.
Wow, that's unexpected, almost prophetic in hindsight. Coming right after such a cataclysmic event suggests a recognition of shifting values, maybe. The new importance art might hold in a changed world, almost like the war's end gave him permission.
In the immediate aftermath, Mishima was determined. Wanted to uphold Japanese literary tradition, felt it was under threat.
Made notes about the importance of Japanese irrationality.
Yeah. He saw literature as almost sacred, a vital thread connecting past and future.
That focus on tradition, on Japanese irrationality, maybe intuition, emotion, aesthetics, reflects a deep desire to keep a distinct cultural identity facing Western influence. the trauma of defeat. His view of literature as a divine pursuit underscores its huge significance for him.
But his early post-war efforts hit snags. Misaki no Monogatari, the story he thought might be his last, rejected for publication.
Ouch, that must have hurt.
Caused him real distress, serious doubts about his future as a writer in this new era.
That rejection after the war experiences and the personal weight he put on that story, deeply discouraging. Highlights the uncertainty even talented artists face early on, especially in a changing cultural scene.
Then more personal turmoil. His mentor, Hasuda Zenmei.
The one who called him inheritor of Japan's history.
Yes. Tragically committed suicide after killing his superior officer for insulting the emperor, as he saw it. Mishima didn't know the details immediately. And then, his younger sister, Mitsuko, died suddenly. Typhoid fever.
Wow, one blow after another. Losing a key mentor, then his sister. That's incredibly heavy emotionally, compounded by the rejection. A period of profound hardship must have forced him to confront life, death, his own path.
His romantic life also took a difficult turn. He hesitated about marrying his girlfriend, Kuniko.
And she got engaged to someone else.
Right. Her marriage, his complex reaction, he later realized it actually fueled his literary passion, became a catalyst. He even bumped into her again later in life.
That experience of lost love after other losses seems like it acted as a potent, if painful, spark for his creativity. It's a common theme for artists. Personal suffering often inspires, drives output in unexpected ways.
Emperor Showa's Humanity Declaration 46, renouncing divinity, that hit Mishima hard too.
Also,
He reacted strongly against any disrespectful portrayals of the emperor in the media, got angry about criticism of the imperial system post-war.
that powerful reaction really reviews the depth of his reverence for the emperor, a reverence that becomes increasingly central to his ideology, his idea of Japanese identity.
There was also a plan back then to publish his poetry collection, Hoyo no Umi, the Sea of Fertility, but it didn't happen.
Another aspiration facing obstacles.
Seems like a lot of his immediate post-war plans hit roadblocks.
The fact that collection, which later became the title of his masterpiece, didn't happen, then shows the challenges he faced. Navigating loss, setbacks, a transforming society.
Amidst all this post-war upheaval, the literary world itself was changing dramatically. Allied occupation brought censorship, the press code.
Right, and condemnation of writers linked to wartime propaganda, including the Japanese romanticists Mishima had early ties with.
He was just 20, but felt he was already becoming outdated, powerless in this new scene. Imagine that.
Feeling outdated so young must have been disheartening. The condemnation of the romanticists made it tough for writers aligned with them, left Mishima feeling isolated, unsure of his future.
But he held on to one hope. The famous writer Kawabata Yasunari had read and actually praised his pre-war work.
The Kawabata connection again.
Their first key meeting was January 46. Mishima brought manuscripts, Chuse and Tobacco. An introduction letter from Noda Yutaro was crucial.
That meeting with Kawabata was a lifeline for his literary hopes. Kawabata's earlier praise provided needed encouragement, a potential path back into the post-war literary world that felt alien to him.
Mishima really admired Kawabata's focus on Japanese sorrow, beauty, the spiritual side of his work. Felt a real connection.
But his first submissions elsewhere were rejected.
Yeah, to publishers like Chikuma Shobo. More discouragement.
Those initial rejections, despite Kawabata's good opinion, just highlight how subjective publishing is. Underscores how vital Kawabata's unwavering support became.
Thankfully, Kawabata proved a crucial ally. He personally showed Mishima's story Tobacco to Kimura Tokuzo at Ningen magazine.
And it got published.
Yes, marked the real start of a significant relationship, a turning point for Mishima.
Kawabata's direct help was instrumental in relaunching Mishima's career. Kimura Tokuzo, recognizing his talent early on, solidified that step, a testament to mentorship, established figures championing new voices.
Their relationship was unique. Mishima always called him Kawabata-san, out of deep respect, not the formal sensei or teacher.
Suggests a more personal connection.
And Kawabata offered invaluable guidance on his early novels, like The Thief, Chusai, helping him refine his writing.
That less formal, yet respectful address implies a genuine bond beyond teacher-student. Kawabata's active involvement shows real commitment to nurturing his talent.
Kawabata already had a reputation for spotting new talent. Supporting Mishima definitely reinforced that.
And Kimura Tokuzo at Ningen saw Mishima's exceptional ability right away.
Indeed. Kawabata's consistent championing solidified his respected position. and Kimura's early, accurate assessment speaks volumes about Mishima's brilliance even then. Amidst all this, the Hirooka family was struggling financially.
So Mishima had to juggle.
Yeah, balance his writing with law studies at university for stability. His father, despite that initial post-war nod to writing, still hoped for a conventional career for him.
That struggle art versus earning a living is so common for writers. Mishima's dedication to both law and literature underscores his pragmatism alongside his artistic drive.
Interestingly, Kimura Tokuzo, who published his early work, observed Mishima was a serious, diligent law student.
Really, challenges the bohemian artist stereotype.
Seems he had discipline, a strong work ethic for both academics and art.
Mishima finally heard the delayed news about Hasuda Zenmai's suicide.
Yes. He organized a memorial gathering with former Bunjei Bunka colleagues, dedicated a poem. Ito Shizuru, who distanced himself, wasn't there.
Organizing the memorial shows his loyalty, the impact Hasuda's death had. Ito's absence highlights the rifts, changes in their circle post-war.
Following Kawabata's continued guidance, Misaki Night no Monogatari finally got published in Gunzo.
And the complete Chuzai in Ningen.
Right. Significant steps forward.
Kawabata's unwavering support was invaluable. Getting published in respected magazines gave him crucial exposure, validation from the literary establishment, solidified his reemergence.
And surprisingly, his accounting diary from then showed he was already financially independent from writing, even helping his brother.
Wow, that early. Remarkable. Speaks volumes about his early success, commitment, also his sense of responsibility supporting family through art.
There's even this almost unbelievable connection. Years before they met, Mishima's father, as a student, almost met Kawabata but declined the intro.
No way. A twist of fate.
Adds another layer of intrigue to their eventual meeting, Kawabata's huge impact, almost like destiny brought them together at just the right moment. Despite these publications, Mishima still lacked major critical acclaim, but he was making new literary contacts.
Which led to an invitation.
To a gathering around the famous, controversial Dazai Osamu and his supporter Kame Katsuichiro.
Entering a different, maybe more bohemian literary sphere. Contact with a writer representing a very different style from his own.
Mishima had mixed feelings about Dazai. Recognized his talent, sure, but disliked his self-dramatizing, sentimental style. Felt a physiological repulsion, he said.
Strong words.
Their meeting in December 46 was memorable. Mishima wore traditional Japanese clothes, consciously adopting a terrorist mindset, intense opposition.
The traditional clothes, the terrorist mindset, suggest deliberate confrontation. Awareness of the ideological stylistic gap between him and the established Dazai.
The gathering included other young writers, a charged atmosphere. Mishima seriously discussed Mori Ogai.
But Dazai was dismissive, sarcastic.
That's how Mishima saw it. Belittling Ogai.
Gazai's reaction immediately highlights the clash in their literary values, approaches to tradition. Set the stage for what came next.
In a bold move for a young, unknown writer, Mishima directly stated his dislike for Dazai's literature.
Wow. Direct confrontation.
Dazai's reaction was ambiguous, but that was their one and only direct clash.
That's significant. For a young writer to openly criticize a famous figure like Dazai speaks volumes about Mishima's convictions, his commitment to his own artistic beliefs, even facing potential backlash.
Mishima later shared more nuanced thoughts on Dazai's novel Shayo, The Setting Sun, in a letter to Kawabata.
Still critical.
Overall, yes, but acknowledged some artistic merit. Still found it lacking the kind of perfection he sought, especially in lyric poetry.
Even in criticism, he showed intellectual honesty, acknowledging skill in Shayo. But his emphasis on formal perfection reveals his own distinct aesthetic ideals, contrasting sharply with Dazai's more confessional style.
In 1947, Mishima published Karozi to Itorihime, Prince Karu and Princess Itori. He also kept meeting the married Mitani Kuniko, went to dance halls.
Despite feeling an underlying emptiness.
Yeah, seems like he was searching for something personally, creatively during that transitional time.
Those disparate activities, traditional legends in writing, complex personal life, dance halls likely reflect his intense search for meaning, connection, reconciling conflicting aspects of his post-war experience.
Around then, he first saw Hayashi Fusao, another established writer, tried unsuccessfully for jobs at Sumitomo Japan Industrial Bank.
Practical realities creeping in. Need for stable income.
Seems so. The challenge artists face balancing ambition with financial need. Suggests some uncertainty for Mishima about his path, even as literature gained momentum. He then decided to take the higher civil service exam, maybe a subconscious return to family tradition.
Could be.
During this time, his story, Yoru no Shitaku, Preparations for the Night, based on his experiences with Kuniko, was published and praised by Hayashi Fusao. Must have been encouraging.
Taking the demanding civil service exam shows serious thought about a stable career, even as literature remained central. Hayashi's praise likely boosted confidence amidst these uncertainties.
He visited Hayashi Fusao, started a friendship, also developed mixed feelings about the matinee poetique writers.
Initially felt kinship, but then alienated.
Yeah, their embrace of French influences, seeming rejection of some Japanese aesthetics. Mishima felt alienated, increasingly drawn to his own roots.
That distancing highlights Mishima's growing sense of his own distinct identity, rooted in Japanese tradition, even while engaging with Western ideas.
Yoru no Shitaku, despite Hayashi's praise, later got harsh criticism from Takami Jun and Nakajima Kenso, felt it lacked connection to his real life.
How did Mishima react?
Angrily, wrote a scathing response in his notes for Tozoku, the thief. Shows his sensitivity to criticism, strong defense of his art.
That experience, harsh critique, angry reaction, underscores artist's vulnerability to reviews, also reveals his conviction in his vision, unwillingness to accept critiques he felt were unfair.
Despite the ups and downs, his short story collection, Misaki Night no Monogatari, Story at the Cape, was finally published.
Encouraged by Ito Shizuo's positive response.
Yes. He wrote Ito a letter expressing frustration with the literary scene, lamenting the neglect of writers he admired, like Nakazaru Tsuko and, notably, Kawabata Yasunari.
The collection's publication, Ito's feedback, validation, renewed momentum. His letter shows deep engagement with the literary world, strong opinions, concern for writers he esteemed.
A huge turning point came in 1947, graduated from Tokyo University Law, passed the higher civil service exam, joined the Ministry of Finance.
Wow. Seemed like he was finally taking the conventional path.
On the surface, yes, a step towards stability, aligning with family expectations, but given his passion for literature, probably wasn't going to be long-term.
He started work at the ministry, temporarily housed in a war-damaged elementary school. Met colleagues, noted his salary, made a self-deprecating greeting. Must have felt like a different planet from literary circles.
That stark contrast, structured bureaucracy versus fluid art world, underscores the internal tension he must have felt. His greeting hints at his awareness of his incongruous position. He became good friends with a colleague, Yoshida Mitsuru, read the censored draft of Yoshida's Senkan Yamato no Saigo, End of the Battleship Yamato. Deeply moved him.
And around then, he stated his core aim.
Right. When asked about his aspirations, he said clearly he wanted to write about beauty, Japanese-like beauty. Gets right to his core obsession.
That friendship, his reaction to Yoshida's manuscript, highlight how personal connections art remained vital even in his bureaucratic role. His declaration about Japanese beauty encapsulates the aesthetic force driving him.
Despite the ministry job, he kept writing, publishing remarkably consistently, was even asked to write a speech for the Minister of Finance.
Led to an amusing story.
Yeah, his original opening lines got heavily edited, became a lasting joke in the ministry.
That anecdote gives a humorous glimpse into his brief government career, the clash between his literary flair and bureaucratic caution. Underscores his creative spirit wasn't suited for that structure.
Despite outward success there, he felt like he was on a tightrope, balancing two incompatible worlds.
Felt a need to analyze his own nihilistic aestheticism.
Yes. Suggests deepening self-awareness of his core artistic tendencies, philosophical foundations.
Tightrope perfectly captures that precariousness, reconciling stability with the irresistible pull of art. His self-analysis shows significant deepening of his intellectual self-understanding.
The difficulty was compounded by deaths, illnesses among literary friends, affected him deeply, feelings of powerlessness, questioning his youth's meaning.
Those losses likely fueled urgency, deeper exploration of mortality, youth's ephemerality, the search for lasting meaning in his art.
His father, Azusa, still worried about his literary prospects. Visited Kimura Takuzo again, seeking reassurance, still questioning if writing was a viable career.
The father's ongoing concern reflects that deep parental desire for security. Kimura's reassurance acknowledged Mishima's dedication, potential, even if not promising immediate stardom.
Mishima decided to join the influential Kindai Bungaku, modern literature group, but with a condition.
That they acknowledge the imperial system's importance.
Exactly, a clear sign of his developing, firming political consciousness. Other prominent writers joined around then too.
Insisting on that condition is really significant, shows his growing public commitment to conservative beliefs, the central role of the imperial institution in his worldview, his idea of Japanese identity.
The shock of Dazai Osama's suicide and his posthumous work, Ningen Shikaku, No Longer Human, that resonated deeply in the literary community.
Including Mishima.
Dazai's tragic end, the raw despair in Ningen Shikaku, likely a stark reminder of the darkness within artistic life, struggles with self-alienation that many writers, including Mishima in his own way, faced. Then a dramatic, maybe symbolic incident. Mishima fell onto train tracks. Sheer exhaustion from juggling the ministry job and writing.
A near-death experience.
Seems like it was the final catalyst. His father finally gave permission to quit the ministry, become a full-time writer.
But with a condition.
Yeah, a big one. Become the best writer in Japan.
Wow. That's pressure.
That pivotal moment, the accident, the conditional permission, represents a complete commitment to his art. The father's audacious demand is a heavy burden, but also signifies profound, if belated, acceptance. He enthusiastically accepted a novel request from Kawaji Shogo, declared he'd stake my entire artistic life on this novel.
Classic Mishima intensity.
Promptly resigned from the ministry, finally free to focus all his energy on writing.
His passionate acceptance, dramatic declaration, underscore his deep yearning to fully embrace writing, escape the bureaucratic world.
He joined a discussion group with prominent literary figures. First met the influential critic Hanya Yutaka there.
Who noted his remarkable speed of thought.
Yeah, recognized his sharp intellect. Seems he was rapidly making his mark.
Ania's observation highlights Mishima's intellect, ability to engage quickly with experienced peers. Signals his growing confidence, influence.
He decided on the title Kamen no Kokuhaku, Confessions of a Mask, for his first-person novel. Not a typical I novel, though.
An attempt at self-dissection.
Exactly. Exploring his complex inner world. Started writing November 1948.
Choosing that title is highly significant. Hints at hidden identity, the constructed self, the gap between appearance and inner reality the novel explores. Self-dissection underscores the personal introspective nature, even beyond traditional I-novel conventions.
Before its publication, his first novel, Tuzoku, The Thief, came out, and the story collection Yoru no Shidaku.
And his play, Katak, premiered.
Yes, The House of Fire got high praise, a very productive, successful period.
That flurry of publications, novel, stories, acclaimed play shows his incredible creative energy, growing confidence, recognition as versatile writer in prose and drama.
He personally handed the last part of the Kamen no Kokuhaku manuscript to his editor, Sakamoto Kazukame. Tapeta Taijun witnessed it.
And observed Mishima felt release and profound satisfaction.
Clearly shows the deep personal significance, emotional investment in that novel.
Takeda's observation captures the huge emotional weight, personal meaning, completing that introspective work held for Mishima. Suggests writing, it was not just art, but cathartic, liberating.
Kamen no Kokuhaku was published. Slow start, then huge critical acclaim from Jinzai Kiyoshi, Hanada Kyotoru.
Chosen as a top book of the year by Yomiuri Shimbun.
Yes. Solidified his position as a major writer, the breakthrough he'd worked for.
That acclaim, recognition for Confessions, truly pivotal, established him as a prominent voice in contemporary Japanese literature, brought the validation he sought, set him on the path to stardom.
Following that success, he kept up the pace. Serialized Junpaku no Yoru, Pure White Night, published Ai no Kawaki, Thirst for Love.
Started Io no Jidai, The Age of Blue, too, inspired by the Hikari Club incident.
Right. Energetically researching, honing his novel writing skills.
That rapid succession of new works shows his continued momentum, willingness to explore diverse themes, styles. Solidified his reputation as versatile, highly productive.
He moved to a new place in Meguro, joined Kishida Kunio's Kumo no Kai, Cloud Society, later attended Hachinoki Kai.
Important literary gatherings, broadening his connections with older, established figures.
Those new connections were crucial. Further integrated him into the literary community, provided opportunities for exchange, networking, building relationships. He also published a no-inspired play, Kant, showed his growing range as a playwright.
Became the first play in his famous Kindai no Gakushu, Modern No Plays collection.
Yes, and staged by the renowned Akutagawa Hiroshi, further solidifying his reputation in drama.
His success with no-inspired drama showcased his versatility, deep appreciation for traditional Japanese art. Inclusion in Modern No Plays, staging by Akutagawa, cemented his growing reputation in theater.
In '51, he started serializing Kinjiki, Forbidden Colors, called it a final reckoning of my 20s.
Exploring internal contradictions, complexities.
Yes, and its controversial theme of homosexuality sparked huge debate. The first part was published then.
That ambitious novel, tackling taboo homosexuality, summing up his 20s. A significant, risky undertaking. Controversial themes were bound to provoke strong reactions.
He kept up his incredible output. Short stories, novellas, his first essay collection, Kari to Imono, Hunting and Prey.
His creative energy seemed boundless then.
His sustained high productivity across forms, short fiction, novels, essays, underscores his dedication, relentless exploration of different modes of expression, inquiry. Around then, Mishima expressed this powerful longing to see the Parthenon in Greece,
A symbol of classical beauty, harmony.
and articulated a desire for intellect with physical presence, yearning for a synthesis between art, intellect, and a developed physical self.
That yearning for the Parthenon, embodying classical ideals, harmony of mind and body, reflects a key development. His focus on physical presence foreshadows his later deep engagement with bodybuilding, cultivating his physique as part of self-expression.
The literary figure, Kaji Ruichi, offered him a huge opportunity. Travel abroad as a special correspondent for Asahi Shimbun.
Which he eagerly accepted.
That unexpected chance marked a real turning point. Fulfilled his desire to see the world, potential to broaden his horizons, influence future work profoundly. He left for his first round-the-world trip, December 51. Described it like shaking hands with the sun, contemplated his own transformation.
That evocative image captures the liberation, renewal, feeling of embarking on a major journey of self-discovery.
Traveled through North and South America, Europe. But it was Athens, Greece, and seeing the Antina statue in the Vatican that had a profound, lasting impact.
His deep connection to ancient Greece, the Antina statue embodying classical male beauty, reveals his enduring fascination with aesthetic perfection, a theme becoming increasingly central in his work and life.
During his travels, he came to a realization. Identified a single ethical standard for creating beautiful works and becoming something beautiful myself.
A pivotal moment suggests unifying his artistic and personal goals. A belief that pursuing beauty should be both external art and internal self-cultivation.
Returned to Japan, May 52, changed. Published his travelogue, Aporo no Sakazuki, A Cup of Apollo.
Start serializing the second part of Kinjiki too, Hira.
Yes, but interestingly, instead of focusing on travel right away, he published Manatsu no Shi, Death in Midsummer, based on a real drowning incident in Japan.
His choice to delve into a recent tragedy, not travel, suggests continued engagement with darker themes, life and death, shows his commitment to processing human complexities through literature.
His play, Satoba Komachi, written before his travels, premiered while he was away, became a huge success.
Establishing his reputation as a significant playwright.
The success of Satoba Komachi in his absence cemented his standing as accomplished, versatile writer, able to create compelling, enduring stage works alongside his prose. He then got the idea for a novel set in a fishing village, inspired by the Greek romance Daphnis and Chloe.
Meticulous as always, even asked his dad for help finding an island.
Yeah, chose Kamishima in Mi Prefecture for its literary association's authentic feel.
Inspiration from classical Greece, the deliberate search for the perfect setting, highlight his detailed approach. Desire to ground creations in specific, evocative, real places for authenticity.
Made multiple research trips to Kamishima, immersed himself in island life, observing nature, rituals, fishermen's work.
The islanders found him curious.
Apparently, this intense writer from Tokyo.
His dedicated research exemplifies his commitment to capturing the authentic essence of a place, its people. Islanders seeing him as an outsider underscores the cultural differences he tried to bridge.
While researching, he continued serializing Hira, eventually published Hira Kinjiki Dainibu, completing the ambitious, controversial Kindiki.
His ability to juggle serializing one novel while researching another showcases his remarkable capacity for sustained output, exploring diverse themes. Completing Kinjiki marked the end of a significant, provocative work.
Showing his expanding horizons, he made his first attempt at kabuki, adapting Akutagawa's Jugoku Hen, Hell Scream.
For the famous actor Nakamura Utamon.
Yeah. Highlights his deep appreciation for traditional Japanese art, ambition to contribute to those traditions alongside contemporary work. His novel from Kamishima, Shiosai, The Sound of Waves, beautiful, best-selling story of young love on an island, was published.
Immediate film adaptation. First major literary award, the Shincho Prize.
Yes, a huge mainstream success. Winning the Shincho Prize really cemented his place.
The immense popularity, critical acclaim for Sound of Waves, film adaptation, Shincho Prize, marked a major breakthrough into mainstream Japanese literary culture, showed he could connect with broad readership through evocative storytelling.
Adding to his growing international fame, the English translation of Shiosai became a U.S. bestseller, brought his perspective to a global audience.
Establishing him internationally.
That international success was pivotal, introduced his distinct voice, nuanced exploration of Japanese culture globally, solidified his reputation as major figure in world literature. His original kabuki play, Iwashi Urikoi Hikiami, Sardine Seller's Love Net, premiered, a successful, enduring farce.
Became a beloved, frequently performed kabuki piece.
Yes, showcasing his versatility for the stage.
The enduring popularity of his kabuki farce shows his deep understanding of traditional theater conventions, ability to create works within that form that resonate, stand the test of time.
This incredibly productive period also saw other works, exploring post-war disillusionment.
Autobiographical fiction like Shiokaku Shonen, The Boy Who Wrote Poetry.
Right, a work on Radiguet. The final Kikudajiro story, Tabi no Bohime, exploring an impressive range.
That diverse output reflects his restless spirit, continued exploration of human experience, societal issues, from lighthearted sound of waves to somber post-war reflections, engagement with influences, constantly pushing boundaries.
In 1955, he started serializing Shizumirataki, The Sunken Waterfall, published Umi to Yuyake, The Sea and the Sunset.
A work he felt was deeply significant, but got little attention.
Exactly. He later reflected how a different reception might have changed his life's trajectory, suggests profound artistic disappointment.
His deep investment in Sea in the Sunset, later reflections on its reception, underscore the unpredictable nature of artistic reception, its impact on a writer's direction, self-perception. Believing it could have changed his life hints at the profound personal meaning he attached to it.
Inspired by a magazine photo of weightlifter Tamari Hitoshi, Mishima started weight training 3 times a week at home.
Likened himself to Godzilla's egg.
With self-deprecating humor, yeah. Marked the start of a lifelong commitment to physical transformation.
That seemingly casual decision became defining. The Godzilla's egg joke is a lighthearted entry to what became a serious, disciplined physical pursuit, deeply intertwined with his artistic philosophical ideals.
Traveled to Kyoto, researched the Kinkakuji arson incident, fascinated him.
Intensified his Moriogai-influenced style. Pursued self-transformation through both literary and physical discipline.
Yes, actively pursued both.
The Kinkakuji arson inspired one of his most acclaimed works. His conscious pursuit of self-transformation through refining literary style and physical discipline reveals his increasingly holistic approach, blurring lines between art and personal development.
Then began serializing his masterpiece Kintakuji, The Temple of the Golden Pavilion. Showcased his refined, powerful style.
Became a disciple of bodybuilding coach Suzuki Tomu. Joined his gym.
Fully committed. Also experienced carrying a portable shrine at a festival, connecting personal pursuits with traditional culture.
Formal commitment to bodybuilding emphasizes the growing importance of physical transformation in his self-cultivation. Carrying the shrine shows his multifaceted connection to his heritage.
His dedication led to a significant physical transformation. Improved health, impressive weightlifting progress, bodybuilding became a lifelong practice.
That lifelong dedication became integral to his identity, public persona, often seen as manifesting his aesthetic ideals, desire for synthesis of intellectual and physical self.
Kinkakuji was published. Widespread critical acclaim, popular success, won the Yomiuri Literary Prize.
Finally won over skeptical critics, became a darling of the literary world.
Absolutely, a definitive peak in his career.
The overwhelming praise, success of Golden Pavilion Yomiuri Prize truly solidified his position as one of Japan's leading, most celebrated writers. Marked a significant triumph, earned him the recognition he craved.
In a rather unexpected side pursuit, he joined the Japan Flying Saucer Research Society. Tried to observe UFOs.
The less intense, more curious side.
Offers a glimpse, perhaps.
That incongruous interest in UFOs provides a fascinating glimpse into broader curiosity beyond literature, physical culture. Suggests a mind open to exploring wide range of possibilities, mysteries.
He then started boxing practice with Kojima Tomu, was even filmed sparring by filmmaker Ishihara Shintaro.
But surprised by how he looked on film.
Reportedly, yes. Led him to shift focus to observing, analyzing boxing, writing about it rather than participating himself.
His surprise at his film image highlights the potential gap between self-perception and reality, even for someone so self-aware. Focusing on writing about boxing led him engage with themes of physicality, discipline, drama through his craft.
This period also yielded other bestsellers. Nagasugita Haru, The Overly Long Spring, Bitoku no Yoromeki, The Tottering of Virtue.
A critical work on Kawabata, Ayan no Tabibito.
Yes. Plays like Shirori no Su, Ant Lion's Nest, won the Kishida Drama Award, the popular Rokumaiken. His play collection, Kindai no Gakushu. Incredibly productive, successful across forms.
That remarkable output across genre novels, plays, criticism firmly establishes his creative vitality, dominant presence in contemporary Japanese literature and theater.
His success allowed vacations in Karuizawa, horseback riding, got media attention for his writing skills.
Socialized with prominent figures there, had a relationship with Toyoda Sadako that ended.
Yes. Enjoying the fruits of his success, but personal life still complex.
Enjoying leisure like Karuizawa. Equestrianism reflects his elevated status, success. Relationship ending reminds us personal complexities continued amidst professional triumphs.
There's even an intriguing report of a formal meeting and omiai.
With Michiko Shota, the future Empress Michiko, as a potential marriage partner.
That's the report. He apparently attended her graduation too. Adds a fascinating, almost surreal element.
That reported meeting adds a truly fascinating, almost dreamlike layer. Underscores his prominent social standing, suggests his life intersected with the highest levels of Japanese society.
Following English translations, growing international recognition for Shiosai, Kindai no Gakushu, he traveled to the U.S., invited by publisher Knopf.
Spent time in New York hoping his plays would be staged, but plans delayed.
Unfortunately, yes. Didn't immediately happen.
That U.S. trip signifies his growing international stature, ambition for his plays to reach a global audience. Delays highlight challenges of cross-cultural artistic exchange.
In New York, reunited with his friend Yoshida Mitsuru, reportedly expressed sharp criticism of American culture.
Declared his intention to marry the following year.
Seems his experiences abroad solidified some views, clarified personal desires.
His critical comments on U.S. culture, contrasted with his decisive marriage declaration upon return, suggest cultural reflection and renewed focus on personal life, desire for stability.
Back in Japan, feeling need for companionship, plus concerns over his father's illness, mother's surgery, his decision to marry firmed up.
Introduced to Sugiyama Yoko, daughter of painter Sugiyama Nire.
Through a childhood friend, had an omiai, married June 58, Kawabata and his wife were the official matchmakers. Very traditional.
Moving towards marriage seems to reflect desire for stability, connection to traditional structures, even for someone often unconventional. Kawabata as matchmaker underscores their enduring bond.
Around then, started reading scholar Kodaka Nijiro on his mentor Hasuda Zenmai. Also started learning kendo seriously.
Japanese swordsmanship. Another layer to his pursuit of intellectual and physical discipline.
Seems so. Connecting back to past influences, forging new paths of self-development.
Renewed interest in Hasuda, dedicated pursuit of kendo, indicate continued engagement with past influences, deepening commitment to traditional Japanese practices, emphasizing physical skill, mental discipline, spiritual fortitude.
He then began writing Kyoko no I, The House of Kyoko, highly ambitious, complex novel.
Aiming to depict post-war era emotions, psychology, set just before the high economic growth.
Yes, a personal and generational reckoning for him.
That ambitious undertaking aimed to capture the essence, anxieties of a specific transitional period in post-war Japan, delving into complex emotional landscapes of a generation navigating change. A significant personal artistic challenge for Mishima.
This was an incredibly busy time. Play Bara to Kaizoku, Rose and Pirate. Published Honeymoon Essays, a book on writing.
Built his new Victorian-style house in Omori.
Yes, now Minami Mogome. Moved in, first daughter Noriko born. Also observed the big protests against the U.S.-Japan Security Treaty, a period of huge personal political activity.
The Victorian house is interesting. Glimpse into personal aesthetics, maybe romanticism in domestic life. Observing the treaty protests underscores his continued engagement with political currents.
Publication of Kyoko no Ai, strong initial sales, but then generally harsh critical reviews.
His first major artistic disappointment after successes. A turning point.
Likely, maybe made him question his direction, relationship with the literary establishment. Must have been a blow after previous acclaim.
The negative reception of House of Kyoko was undoubtedly a setback after considerable success. Likely fueled disillusionment with the literary scene, may have influenced subsequent choices, increasing engagement with politics.
He then signed an exclusive contract with Dai Film Studio. Took an acting role, played a gangster in Karakazi Yaro, Afraid to Die.
Had an accident during filming, too.
Yes. This foray into cinema seems a new, perhaps unexpected direction.
Venturing into acting, filmmaking shows desire to explore different art forms, maybe reach wider audience beyond literature. Suggests a restless creative spirit, not content solely with writing.
Began serializing Yutage no Ato, After the Banquet, based directly on the recent Tokyo gubernatorial election.
Led to a lawsuit. Invasion of privacy from the real person his character was based on.
Yes, Arita Hachiro brought him into a very public, potentially damaging legal dispute.
The lawsuit from After the Banquet brought his public and private life into sharp, uncomfortable collision. Highlighted ethical legal complexities when fiction draws heavily from real events, people, especially in politics.
Early 60s, published Yukoku, Patriotism, novella rooted in the February 26th incident.
The 1930s coup attempt that fascinated him. Later directed and starred in the film adaptation.
Exactly. Solidifying his intense interest in that event, its themes of loyalty, duty, sacrifice.
Revisiting the February 26th incident in Patriotism, adapting it to film with himself in a central role, strongly indicates the increasing importance of that event, its ideologies of nationalism, honor, self-sacrifice, and his evolving thought.
Also got involved in the controversial Shimaka incident about Fukazawa Shichiro's satirical Fury Yume Monogatari.
Led to threats from right-wing groups. Needed police protection.
Yes, shows his growing entanglement with extreme volatile political elements.
His involvement in the Shimaka incident highlights the increasing polarization then, the real risks of expressing controversial views, especially challenging traditional or nationalist ideas. Threats, police protection underscore the intensity.
In a move further blurring art persona and physical being, he modeled for Hoso Aiko's iconic photo collection Barakai, Ordeal by Roses.
Actively presenting his muscled physique as an aesthetic object brought increased media attention beyond literary circles.
Significantly, made him an even wider public figure, a cultural icon.
His willing participation in Barakai, deliberate presentation of his body as art, a conscious act of self-performance, solidified his public image focused on aesthetics, the idealized male form. Amplified his media presence, contributed to his iconic status beyond literature.
He began openly sharing details of his daily life, health regimen, unusual habits in magazines.
Like his specific eating habits, aversion to the kanji for crab, smoking.
Yeah, increasingly a public figure, almost a constructed brand.
Deliberately sharing personal details contributed to his curated public persona, created intimacy with readers while solidifying his image as unique, compelling figure.
Internal divisions in the Bungakuza theater group, where he was deeply involved, led to the Joy no Koto incident.
Caused turmoil in the theater world.
Yes, significant disruption.
The strife within Bungakuza reflects broader artistic, ideological tensions in the cultural landscape. Mishima's involvement underscores his continued commitment to influence within Japanese drama.
During this time of increasing political awareness, he wrote works reflecting anxieties about the Cold War nuclear threat.
Novels like Utsukushi Hoshi, Beautiful Star, Boshi no Hana, The Flower of the Hat.
And more philosophical works like Ken, the Sword, an essay on Hayashi Fusao, showed continued engagement with contemporary issues and literary influences.
Exploring Cold War anxieties shows awareness of global politics. Philosophical writings, critical analysis highlight ongoing intellectual pursuits, engagement with ideas shaping his thought.
Significantly around this time, after reading the classic Hamamatsu Chinagan Monogatari,
He began conceiving ideas for his final, epic 4-volume work, Hoyo no Umi, The Sea of Fertility.
yes, signaled the ambitious undertaking that would occupy him until the end.
Initial conception of Sea of Fertility marked the beginning of his magnum opus, a sprawling, ambitious project consuming his energy, exploring reincarnation, history cycles, Japanese identity.
In '64, covered the Tokyo Olympics as special correspondent, expressed complex feelings about Japan hosting.
Contrasted admiration for Emperor Showa's opening declaration with memories of the post-war meeting with MacArthur. Powerful description of the final torchbearer.
Exactly, a moment of national pride, personal reflection on Japan's journey.
His Olympics coverage gives fascinating glimpse into his ingrained sense of Japanese identity, nuanced relationship with the emperor, post-war history. Evocative description of torchbearer speaks to his appreciation for symbolic gestures, national unity.
This fertile period also saw other acclaimed works. Plays, novels, international recognition grew.
English translations of Confessions of a Mask, Temple of the Golden Pavilion. UN Secretary General Dag Hammarskjöld admired Kinkakuji.
Yes, his literary reputation hitting new heights globally.
Continued international recognition. Praise from figures like Hammarskjöld underscore the universal appeal, literary merit of his work. Transcended national boundaries, resonated globally.
But amidst the acclaim, there was that cryptic comment to journalist Henry Scott Stokes.
Describing Japan as under a curse of the green serpent.
Yeah. Ominous, thought-provoking, hints at deeper unease, critical perspective on his nation.
That enigmatic comment suggests profound unease, maybe prophetic critique of Japan's spiritual health beneath post-war prosperity. Hints at deeper dissatisfaction informing his later actions.
So in this deep dive, we've journeyed from his intricate early life, literary spark, through wartime, post-war anxieties.
Highlighted his crucial relationship with Kawabata, clash with Dazai, brief bureaucracy stint, ultimate commitment to writing.
Explored his intense physical, artistic transformations, growing recognition at home and abroad.
And what stands out is that inherent tension defining him. Aestheticism versus activism, fascination with beauty and death, complex relationship with tradition versus modernity.
Not just contradictions, but maybe the driving forces.
In many ways, yes. Behind his extraordinarily complex, ultimately tragic life and its powerful, enduring art.
And for you, our listener, we really hope this detailed exploration provided those aha moments, a clearer understanding of this fascinating, complex figure, without being overwhelming.
Which leads to a final, maybe provocative thought. Consider the implications of his relentless, intertwined pursuit of physical and artistic perfection.
Could it stem from a deep, maybe unattainable yearning for an idealized vision of Japan?
And what are the broader implications when an artist so completely intertwines life and art, blurring those lines almost entirely?
It might inspire you to explore his later political activities, his final act in 1970, if you want to delve even deeper into the enduring enigma of Mishima Yukio.